high-performance race team needs a high-performance technology partner.
At Red Bull Ampol Racing, we rely on HP computers to power our on-track winning performance.
The Supercars Championship ignites and buffers.
The HP product range keeps us on top from design to drive. Red Bull Ampol Racing, powered by HP, and available right now at Harvey Norman.
Make more of the things you want possible with Cash Converters. Life made possible.
Hi, just these, thanks.
Good choice. That'd be $52.99, thanks.
Thanks.
Repco, it starts with the parts.
The Cash Converters Supercars E-Series is proudly brought to you by Repco. It starts with the parts. Great to have your company once again for the Cash Converters Supercars E-Series. We're switching things up tonight. We're going to be going dual road course racing. We've got Phillip Island not too far away, but this is a big chance for the All-Stars to change things up tonight, Jonathan.
Yeah, we're finally going to turn right, but it's not the Monza Oval. It's actually the Grand Prix course. Great to be back at Monza, which provided a lot of carnage in the All-Stars, if you remember, back in April last year.
Yeah, SwiftX qualifying not too far away. It's a very simple-looking plan for tonight. We've got the pros up first. They're going to be followed by the All-Stars. 10-minute SwiftX qualifying sessions will set the grids for these two races. 14 laps around the island. One of 3 tracks that feature in iRacing, and then Monza. What a great venue it is. It's been a part of the E-Series for the last few years. Always provides plenty of overtaking, slipstreaming, lots of games, and plenty of big crashes as well for the All-Stars. There is your Cash Converters points leader in the pros. Dane Warren has been sublime, unbeatable, hasn't dropped a single point so far this year.
He's broken the record for pole positions, hasn't he? And could break the record today for race wins in a row as well. He's currently leading the field here in qualifying. Hopefully it's not chaotic as a qualifying session as we had over at Road America 7 days ago. Phillip Island, it's good to be back. Unfortunately, bad news in the last week. We won't be coming back here this year for Supercars, but we get to race here virtually. It's better than nothing.
Yeah, 2019 was the last time we visited this part of the world IRL in real life for the WD-40 Phillip Island Super Sprint back then. Scott McLaughlin was on the grid. Be interesting to compare what the real lap time around there that day was compared to today. So last time we had a Supercars Armor All qualifying session, McLaughlin took the pole with a 1:29.5. Now, the last time we had a pole in the E-Series here wasn't too far off that. It was a 1:29.3. How close is that? But with the cool track conditions here today, we'll be surprised if we go a little bit faster, maybe even into the 28. So let's do this.
Let's see if Jake Burton can do it. Currently top 3 in the championship, best year of his E-Series career so far, as the Perth native will begin his first lap of qualifying. Again, drivers are expected to run about 3 or 4 hot laps at Phillip Island. Tyre deg is high, but surprisingly, despite the deg being so high, you can get the most out of the rubber on 2 hot laps around here. But with a track temp of 23 degrees Celsius, I can guarantee drivers may run 2 fast hot laps.
So a reminder, iRacing is the simulated platform that we're using tonight. And the way it works, if you pull the car up to a complete stop at the end of a hot lap, hold down the escape button, you go straight back to the pit, so saves you the effort of having to do the in-lap. Change of look for this car this weekend. Looks pretty cool. And Forza Al Nabi running the Auckland signage on the side of the car.
Good to see Al Nabi racing in the E-Series. About 2 or 3 weeks before the series began, he wasn't supposed to be racing, and it was a last-minute deal with him and Team Tamaki Makoro to drive this car in this year's E-Series. He's very busy with his own working commitments in the real world, and hopefully he improves his pace here on out. He did not give me a guarantee, but did tell me he will get better round to round, but he is definitely down on practice.
This is the guy they're all chasing, and he looks like he's about to hit the escape button and go back to the pits for a fresh set of tyres. 1:27.9. Never mind the 28s, Jonathan. We've just gone blazing through to the 27s as Olnabi dives off for a restart. This is going to be a little bit tight. I hope that anyone's on a lap is going to have a clean run at the racetrack down towards turn 1. That is a blistering lap time, and Suzlin Harlow has bettered it. It's the first time all year that we've seen a different name on top. Jackson Suzlin Harlow, who was on the podium last time we raced here, the last race of last season. The Brad Jones racing driver, that's a great lap time. Here he comes in the black duck seat covers. Todd Hazelwood looking Brad Jones racing car, and that is a number. It's close too.
Never started on the front row in the E-Series. Only started 3rd. So he's bettered that with pole position so far. Picked up a couple of race wins, although they were reverse grid wins in 2020. Back at the end of the year last year when he competed in this very E-Series. That's a great performance from him. Currently sitting 4th in the championship so far.
7th, 3rd and 7th, his qualifying results in SwiftX qualifying so far. So looking like a potential step up. Can Dane Warren strike back and get another lap back on him, or can Jordan Caruso in the Repco car potentially disrupt the top few spots? He's there or thereabouts. 0.06 of a second away from Jack Thousand's, a very tight margin as they're on their outlap to start another SwiftX flyer, competing tonight for some iRacing credits. Thanks to SwiftX, they're going to swing them over $140 worth. And a reminder, you can win BP Ultimate Fuel for a year. Now, if you go and check that out at Instagram, BP Ultimate Racing is the name of the page. Plenty of Burt on there that you can enjoy as well. Everyone loves a bit of Burt. And the good folks at BP might be able to sling you a year's worth of free fuel. I'll check that out. 4.5 minutes to go in this session. Jared Filsell, another guy to watch out for. He's already put his car inside the top 6. And these are the games that we saw last week. Nobody wants to be the first car down the front straight because they will give up the slipstream. And he's got what he wanted there, Filsell. He didn't want to be the tow truck down the front straight.
I mean, as long as there's no rear damage, he should still set a very fast lap time. But James Scott obviously not happy with the games played by Jared Filsell there.
No.
Scott, I think, has damaged the front splitter and has no front downforce. That'll ruin his run, but he can still begin his lap, but he's pulled out anyway.
Yeah, if you get a run that poor onto the front straight, you're going to lose 3/10 before you even get to the first corner. He has time to get back to the pits, get out there and go again. So Filsell currently sitting 6th. Last week left it late at Road America to jump up inside the top 3 spots. Competed for the race win. Got so close to being the guy to topple Dane Warren. Couldn't quite get the job done.
It was the pit stop, the random time that it's allocated to taking 4 tyres in your one compulsory pit stop. That's required in the E-Series. This race won't be an issue. We'll talk about it a little later on in the Shannon's Insurance race facts, but drivers will need to take around 20 litres of fuel. It acts like a fuel drop race, you could say, in a sense, and that will reduce the implications or maybe the bad luck you may receive from having a random pit stop time.
Dane Warren onto the front straight and a chance here to potentially get back to the top spot. Can he topple Suzlin Harlow from P1? Yes, yes he can. He's just that good. And that is a lovely lap time. 1:27.888. And does it again, this time by 41 thousandths of a second. So he's gone from being 28 thou down to 41 thou up. That's tight.
Reminds me of Road America. They should be able to squeeze one more lap in. And hopefully Suzlin Harlow can... Somebody needs to beat him for pole. Come on. At the moment, just to clarify that record before, Dane, if he does score pole today, will tie Josh Rogers' record for 5 poles in a row. Of course, he was the person to break that exact streak last year and snatch the championship away from his very own teammate from Walker Trent United. Ryan Wood races Toyota 86s in New Zealand, one of 3 Kiwis in the field, along with Borzen Alnabi and Sam Blacklock, who returns for SwiftX Racing for round 4.
Ryan's down in 19th at the moment, in car 19. The local Legends colours adorning the side. He's going to roll it onto the front straight and just about run too wide. Should be okay, didn't lose too much entry speed onto the lap.
So climbing up to around about 285 kilometres an hour into Doohan Corner. Look at the camber around here. Obviously this circuit suits motorcycle racing. oh so well through the southern loop. Looks very weird. It's like driving around the Great Ocean Road, you could say, in a sense, with all the camber and undulation you face around the circuit. 26 meters of elevation and still screaming through Stoner Corner. Full throttle. Look at the traffic he has to deal with as well. That'll put him offline into braking at Honda. He's definitely lost around about a 1/10 of a second, I'd say, so far with all the traffic. And look, he's frustrated. I wouldn't be surprised if he just pulls the car off in the middle of the racetrack. I've done that before where you're frustrated. You just park it in the middle of the road and say, stop all 6 of you. You've destroyed my lap. I'm destroying yours.
So frustration as Emily Jones mounts the top of the hill at Lukey Heights in the Cash Converters Mustang. And her partner Jake Burton starting a lap down the front straight and zooming down towards the first corner. Having a really nice run so far in season 2021, something of a resurgence, I think you could call it. He's been inside those top 3 spots, and there you go, straight off the road at turn 2 with 30 seconds to go.
I'll paint some silver lining for him. He's in for potentially $10,000 of cash if he wins the championship and can snatch it from Dane Warren. And also with a Bathurst Enduro next week for the E-Series, will Brad Jones finally claim the silverware at Bathurst? That's been oh so elusive.
Really looking forward to the Bathurst Enduro coming up next week. We'll talk a little bit more about that across the course of the night. 8 seconds to go, so Wayne Burke will be one of, if not the last car to cross the start-finish line. I don't think anyone else is going to get there in the background.
Mechanical engineer is Wayne Burke. By the way, one of the most consistent runners in the field. During the draft, I had a lot of doubts about his pace, but in terms of consistency and making up positions from a poor qualifying performance, he does exactly that. Finished 11th last week at Road America, improving his pace each week, now up to 16.
So checkered flag is out. Wayne will be the last driver to complete this SwiftX qualifying session, and he had a pretty good slipstream down the front straight and all the way through turns 2 and 3. So he's tucked up nicely behind Brady Myers, is one of the quick guys in the field, so Brady's not going to hold up his lap time on this trip around. There's a chance here that he might be able to improve his position. He sits 16th at the moment. Penrite Racing, Kelly Grove Racing, one of the teams hotly talked about in the silly season at the moment, with Andre Heimgartner on the way out of that operation. That leaves a good seat sitting there waiting for anyone to come and get it.
Is this one of the craziest silly seasons we've had?
Oh, it's up there. Speaking of crazy, we've got Sam Blacklock backwards and in the fence coming out of MG. Very easy to do when you get the power back down. And Wayne's going to practice an in-lap this time through. So that's just about maximising on the way in. So he's not going to improve his qualifying performance on this lap. Brady Myers will be the last driver to greet the checkered flag. Runs a B licence for road courses, does Brady, and that will conclude our qualifying session. He stays in 15th. You would have thought that'd be higher, wouldn't you, than a B? We've got most of the field are A's. Andrew Gilliam and Brady Myers, the only 2 Bs, and this guy, obviously, one of the very few lucky enough to get a pro licence.
Yeah.
And he'll take another SwiftX Pole Award as well. So, cha-ching, there's another $140 worth of iRacing credits. 4 in a row for Dane Warren. Make that 5 in a row if you go to the back half of last year, and that is the record extended. Dane Warren, Suzlin Harlow, and Jordan Caruso wrap up your top 3, and that's close as well. 1/10 of a second covering the top 3. Corey Shepherd outside the 10 with Richard Hamstead, falls in on Nabi. Cooper Webster, who's won a race in Phillip Island in S5000. Not so many people can say that in this field. That's pretty cool. SwiftX Pole Award coming away once again. He had to earn it. He didn't get it on the first lap. He had to find some more speed. He found about 600ths of a second, but it was enough. It was enough, Jonathan, to go 4 in a row for Walkinshaw Andretti United.
And another $140 worth of iRacing credits straight to Dane Warren's iRacing account. Well done to him.
Plenty of good stuff to go and download on iRacing. If he hasn't already downloaded everything with his pro ranking, well done to Dane Warren. We're going to get a quick ad break in. We're off to Monza on the other side of this, and the All-Stars are going SwiftX qualifying. The Cash Converters Supercars E-Series is proudly brought to you by Bosch Tools and Accessories.
Cheers, thanks.
Good choice. That'd be $52.99, thanks.
Thanks.
Repco, it starts with the parts.
Make more of the things you want possible with Cash Converters. Life made possible.
The Cash Converters Supercars E-Series is proudly brought to you by Bosch Tools and Accessories. If you put a list together of the top 10 circuits anywhere in the world, you'd be hard-pressed to not put this one absolutely near the top. Monza in Italy, that's where our great bunch of all-star supercars drivers are heading for night 4 of the Cash Converters Supercars E-Series. You're watching SwiftX qualifying. Great to have your company on the Supercars socials before we go live on Fox Sports, KO and 7+. And this is going to be a lot of fun because for the first time all season, Jonathan, we've taken them off the ovals. We've put them back on the road courses. And that has come for a few reasons, but certainly a lot of fans wanted to see us get back to our roots in our road racing. And I wonder how that's going to change up this championship battle.
I was a bit of a smart aleck to somebody during the week who said, can we stop heading to ovals? We want to head to somewhere else. And I said, how about Monza? And they said, no, not the oval again. And I said, no, it's the Grand Prix course. So here it is. The qualifying antics begin around Monza. How fitting it is, just like NASCAR at Auto Club, F1 at Monza here a couple of years ago. We're going to do the same here for 10 minutes of action. Unfortunately, Chad, for Richie Stanaway, who had a DNF to his name last round at Daytona, scored no championship points because you only score points if you are classified for the race and complete over 75% of the race distance.
Yeah, that was a tough one. That saw poor Richie go from first in the championship down to 4th. It promotes Brody Kostecki on screen, who's the Pied Piper right now, leading this field back to the Parabolica. And he's not showing his poker face just yet. 7 minutes 37 to go. Quick glance in the mirrors. And nope, no one wants to pass him. They all want to follow Brody, so he's not going to get any slipstream help on this lap. And Cam Waters is right where he wants to be. Also, welcome back Nick Percat, third car in the queue, R&J Batteries. Brad Jones Racing as Brody brings the noise. Cam Waters good to go. Sitting second in the championship, right behind Brody Kostecki. Just doing what he does. Floating around inside those top few spots. And remember, he was quick here last year when we raced in the All-Star race, night 1. One of the more famous races that we had. And yes, we can just see Nelson to the left-hand side of Nick Percat's brand new sim setup.
The camera's shaking.
He's into it.
I thought he had a collision with somebody. There he is in the R&J Batteries Commodore. Makes his first appearance in the E-Series since round 10 of All-Stars. Well, actually, since he sat on the desk with us last year during the Pro E-Series.
True. That was a lot of fun. He brought his dog with him that night, as you may remember.
Yeah, the official dog of Supercars, Nelson. Unofficially, the official dog of Supercars, you would say.
I will mention, Nick will be not too far away from talking to Neil Crompton at the host desk up in Sydney. Oh, no! Cam spills it. Well, coming out of the chicane right in front of him.
He'll be talking to Neil Crompton after a quick trip to the medical centre virtually after that one.
Yeah, so that's unfortunate. Those boys have time to get back and start another lap. No one got a lap in just yet. And try as they might to stick to the back of Brody Kostecki to get that free toe, Brody's left them all behind.
Under the old banked oval, there it is. That is the very precarious, very elusive oval that you cannot drive in the real world properly anymore because it's that dangerous. Although WRC did have their final round of the World Rally Championship here last year. That was fascinating to watch as Brody Kostecki heads towards the now newly named Curva Alboreto, previously known as the Parabolica, named after Michele Alboreto, who unfortunately passed away about a couple of decades ago in a test crash at the Euro Speedway last sits. Won a couple of F1 races, won a few actually, 5 in total. Brody Kostecki will be trying to use that for some inspiration across the line. Crosses the line, we're expecting a low 1 minute 47. He sets a 47.3 for a provisional pole.
That's a good lap time. James Golding has popped up near the front. Anton Di Pasquale took the pole here last year in the All-Stars. And that is nicely done. Cash Converter's instant cash moment. And this wasn't quite as nice for Cam Waters. Dragged the left front on the way in, so put him on the exit curb. Had a bit of a bobble over the sausage curbs. And, well, poor Nick Percat was in the box seat to wear that Monster Energy 4.
It's so difficult as well because this...
That's it. I'm out of here, says Nelson. See you, Dad.
That's rude, Nelson. Come on. We thought you were a good boy.
Might be dinner time in Nick's house. The producers in our ears are telling us he's just gone to Bark Ferme. Nice work, guys.
Nice work by Matt McLean through the second chicane there, the Della Roggia. What Cam Waters should have done is actually bowed out of it and not committed to the sausage curb. But because our supercars are so heavy, almost 1,500 kilograms with a virtual driver on board, it's so difficult to make those split-end decisions that you may see in open wheelers like Formula 1 and Formula 2 around here.
Got to be really careful at the exit of that second Lesmo, as I found out on multiple times doing laps around here. It will delete your lap time if you go too far on that curb. I feel like if you even lean and touch on that curb, it gives you the 1X and takes the lap time off you.
All you need to do is keep just 2 wheels within the white lines. You're good through there. Wow.
Here's a car that just looks right at home in this livery at this racetrack. Sammy Brabham competing in his grandfather's favourite colours. Got the motion on it, Motum Simulators. This is in Melbourne. And he's relocated to Australia. It'd be cool to see him get a full-time program back together in motor racing. Has a bit of Carrera Cup experience. It'd be cool to see him back in a race car in Australia.
And no, as Neil Crompton described last week, he's not welding. And he's... Well, actually, it looks like it, doesn't it? Wow.
Virtual welding kit. Perfect for it, wouldn't it? Very good.
He's actually qualified, Sam Brabham, 22nd each week in succession.
So you're going to say he's a qualified welder.
No,
not quite.
Not quite. As he heads to the second chicane, hopefully getting better and better. Fascinating to hear last week in his interview during the coverage that he prefers the motion on. Remember, Chad, a lot of the drivers who jumped in a motion sim actually preferred to tick it off, such as Thomas Randall, who runs his own Dream Simulation, motion simulator company, and he prefers to switch it off because it saves him a few tenths of a second per lap.
Matt Payne's popped up inside the top 5 spots as well, as there is Sam going for a ride. I love that. You would have seen him just look down for a moment. When you're in virtual reality, you do look around the car quite a lot. You do look towards your mirrors as well. It's a total immersive experience like nothing else, doing virtual reality with movement. That looks like a lot of fun as he works his way out of Ascari. Only 16 drivers have got a lap in with 2 minutes to go. We've got a number of drivers desperately needing a lap. Kostecki, Golding, Di Pasquale, Stanaway, and Matt Payne, the top 5. Just Ruggie, a good lap inside the top 6.
Track limits are an issue at every corner here, so it is very similar to Spa.
There is in that our boy Matt McLean. So I just want to give him a shout out for the Crookeds. They're got a new single out, he tells me.
Yeah?
So he's the bass player.
Can you get it on Spotify?
Yeah, you apparently can chase that down on whatever your preferred music outlet. And the cool thing about this deal, with the Shaw sponsorship, obviously they make a lot of microphones and things like that, as you're well aware of.
Very
now,
good
running
ones.
a Shaw setup at home.
Yes.
He is able to work some of that into the band, which is pretty cool. So a very different way of doing sponsorship. And that was definitely on the edge of the track limits down at the first Lesmo.
Now, is this man going to replace Andre Heimgartner is the question.
One Kiwi out, one Kiwi in, you reckon?
Tough man to replace. He's a race winner now as of 2021.
Yeah, there'll be a lot of things that need to happen for Matt Payne to be able to be on the grid full-time in supercars. We'll be surprised if we see him do a few Super 2 rounds towards the end of this year, though, that's for sure, now that he's part of the Kelly Grove Racing Junior program. And what a great opportunity that is for him. Only half a year of running in the Carrera Cup this year, but he's turned a lot of heads, particularly at Townsville, where he was really quick. Good experience in the Toyota Racing Series, as he is doing a nice job here today inside those top 5 spots. Wide entry, I should say, because he's trying to maximize the run onto the front straight to have one last lap and potentially get himself up inside the top few spots. Will take Matt McLean with him. So the two Matts running behind each other, Payne and McLean.
Can save a lot of tenths of a second per lap with the slipstream. Anton de Pasquale returns, replaces Will Davison for this round. They'll be scoring the same amount of championship points, so they're working together as teammates in that same Dick Johnson Racing, Shelby Power Racing Mustang. De Pasquale second, had pole here with a 1 minute 46.2 in the All-Stars back in April 2020. Currently a 47.1, which is good enough for second position.
I love that Brody's safety rating for road courses is a C, and a low C at that, 2.2, and yet he's the quickest out there, considering it was a pro-rank driver that took it for Walkinshaw Andretti in that last session. Chaz Boston, he's got the A-class ranking next to his safety ranking, something that you build up the more you drive around on iRacing, the more corners you do without running off the road or hitting people, the higher your safety rating gets. It's the simplest way of explaining it.
Definitely a fan favourite is Chaz Mostert. A lot of fans love how quick he is and the competition he brings to iRacing. Imagine just jumping on to a multiplayer race in this game and seeing your favourite drivers from supercars battle it out with you wheel to wheel. How brilliant is iRacing? He practices a pit entry, as I've said for multiple years now. I actually ended up passing someone there during a race on entry under braking, and it was someone I didn't quite like, Chad, which made it extra sweeter. As that qualifying is coming to a close, let's see if Todd Hazelwood can potentially climb into the top 10, currently 16th.
Last corner, turn 11. And pulling the car up, not quite that wide. And that, unfortunately, for Todd will be the session done.
So the checkered flags out?
Definitely be an off track. It almost looked like he was building up to start a lap then with the line that he ran. And unfortunately, he's about to greet the checkered flag because Barney is waving it. And that should be the end of the session.
I think he is beginning another lap, or he's just getting one for practice in.
Either way, it's this guy who has taken the SwiftX Pole Award, and he is doing very nicely in this charge so far this year. Unfortunately, his run got stopped at Daytona, but that's first, third, and first. So 3 SwiftX Pole Awards, and that's now $600 worth of Bitcoin in his pocket. Nicely done, thanks to SwiftX. And your pole position winner is, for the 3rd time this year, Boost Mobile Racing Erebus with Brody Kostecki at the wheel. Might just have a C-class license for road courses, but he is so quick. And he's proven that once again. And a 1/10 of a second in it too, so a fairly sizable margin. Well done, Brody. And that is exciting to see. Another SwiftX Pole Award. Jonathan, how is this all going to play out tonight when we go racing? That's the big question.
Well, I'm just happy he's got some Bitcoin, because that's what I'd be excited about. Now time to focus up on the racing. Strategy important.
All right, looking forward to this one. Neil Crompton standing by in Sydney. Stick around. reached the halfway point of the E-Series. And now the two Davison cousins get together. Whilst we have a clear winner in the pros, Dane Warren, 3 race wins in a row. It's anyone's title in the All-Stars, and it's going to be Brody Kostecki. This week, we bow down and worship at the Temple of Speed, Monza, whilst our pro gamers tackle Phillip Island. Get set for another action-packed night of new age supercharged sim racing. This is the Cash Converters Supercars E-Series.
Welcome to the Cash Converters Supercars E-Series and the wild and wonderful world of supercars virtual racing. Have all the passion, all the skill, all the aggro, all the tear-ups without the invoices, but I can promise you some cool racing again tonight. We've reached our 4th of 6 events in the 2021 series and looking forward to a couple of very special occurrences tonight. We're back with 2 big races. First of all, on the agenda this evening for our pro gamers, we're going to go off to Phillip Island to that gorgeous, fast and flowing Grand Prix circuit. In normal terms, a couple of hours to the southeast of Melbourne. Then we're going to grab a whole new location. We're going to get off the ovals and go to a Grand Prix venue that last week delivered the 8th Grand Prix victory in Formula One for Daniel Ricciardo. We're off to Monza, to the Temple of Speed, and that's going to be very, very cool. So we've got a whole bunch of people to talk to. Once again, you can see on the mega wall, we've got everybody lined up here, and we've got a special wildcard entry for this evening that we want to have a talk to, and it is a big welcome back to Nelson the Critter and his puppeteer, Nick Percat. G'day, mate. Haven't got you there, Nick. I don't know whether or not it's just me. Push the button. Might just be me. We're working on it. Actually, in this instance, Nelson's making way more sense than you right now, Nick. Oh, still got a problem here. He's had enough. All right, we're going to try and sort out the comms, and once we get a chance to do that, we'll come back and have a chat to Nick. He's been making the news this week with the announcement just in the recent past that he'll be moving from Brad Jones Racing and he's off to destination unknown for 2022. So let's go to Melbourne. Let's go to our commentators, Chad Nailon and Jonathan Simon. Boys, we have got a couple of ripping circuits, and those margins that we had in SwiftX qualifying, unbelievably tight. Welcome.
Welcome, Neil. Well, how long have you been working in TV, Neil, and you still haven't learned don't work with kids and animals?
Yeah, I know. So why am I talking to you?
Yeah, good point. Am I the kid or the animal? That's what I want to know down here in Melbourne. We've had SwiftX qualifying already run and done tonight. Really looking forward to what's going to be a big night of racing because, Jonathan, we are switching things up. We saw the ovals. We saw how close it was on the ovals, but now a change for tonight. And for the first time, the All-Stars get to go racing on road courses.
Yes, we've got Monza, Bathurst, and then the final round over at Watkins Glen. Monza's a great track. What a race we had over the weekend in open wheelers.
Yep.
And now our supercars talent get to take there in our very own Aussie V8s.
Yeah, and the Monza race last year in the All-Stars was a lot of fun. But first, we're going to check out the pro score in the Cash Converters points for the pro drivers. And Dane Warren, 450 out of a possible 450. You're not going to get any better than that. Jared Filsell moved up to second last week. And Jake Burton doing a really nice job for Brad Jones Racing. He has real-life experience running here in the Toyota 86s, so watch out for Jake Burton. And Cooper Webster, also a guy who's won in the S5000 cars here at Phillip Island, so that's pretty cool. SwiftX Pole Award, guess who? Pole position winner once again, it's Dane Warren at Walkinshaw Andretti United. And he's just gone and banked another $140 worth of credits in iRacing. And with the new updates that have come out recently, Hungaroring's been added, the new Porsche 992 Cup car. So these are all things that he can go and spend on right now. So yes, nicely done, but that's also a record-breaking lap as well.
Yep, he tied the record with Josh Rogers for most pole positions in our E-Series in a row with number 5. And he actually broke that streak with Josh Rogers a couple of rounds ago back in 2020.
Yeah, it was Josh Rogers who took the pole here last year. It is Phillip Island. It's been a part of the E-Series every time that we've run it, one of 3 Aussie tracks that we have in iRacing. Jonathan's going to talk us through it very shortly. What is it that we love about this circuit? Because it demands total commitment to get it right here at Phillip Island.
Yeah, it definitely does. Tyre degradation is high. Look at that. Sunny skies, virtually at least, even though we're in the evening here, technically in Melbourne, Australia itself. But it's unfortunate we don't get to race here in the real world, but we do get to take a look at our next level racing track preview. We've got ocean beaches at Phillip Island. We talked about seagulls, penguins, you name it. You've got everything here at Phillip Island. We've got the Gardner Straight to begin the lap as well, heading straight into Dewan Corner, named after 2 motorcycle legends in the world of Australian motorsport. Look how weird this will look into the Southern Loop. Hug the inside like you're driving around the Great Ocean Road. I need to do a better job, Chad, by the way. This is me driving the lap. Very, very slow out there. Full throttle to Casey Stoner corner. And we're still accelerating through the apex at over 240 kilometers an hour. Big braking zone, great overtaking opportunity into Honda. Short shift on the exit. That's a tip I learned from Madison Down, who's taken 2 victories here in our very own Pro E-Series. Looking for his 3rd here today. Don't run wide on the exit of Siberia and onto the gravel right there. That will slow your lap time down. Onto Hayshed. Challenging in a motorbike, but relatively straightforward in supercars. We've got so much downforce in these cars in 2021, it's not even a challenge. Highest point of the circuit at Lukey Heights. 26 meters of elevation change, and then a big 10-meter drop into the braking zone of MG. Gravity does nothing to help you slow the car down through there. Final couple of corners, as you once said, Chad, we should hopefully reserve to name it after Jack Miller, a very fancy motorbike rider, of course. Now, with the Pro Series drivers needing to take fuel on, fuel will also be an issue for today's race. We saw what happened to Garth Tander in 2014, ran out of fuel right here across the line. Scott McLaughlin, that victory. Hopefully none of that today.
Nicely done, Jonathan. That is your Next Level Racing track preview. Going to be a lot of fun tonight. 14 laps around the island, so it's going to be a big challenge for these drivers, and you're really looking forward to seeing how the pros handle the island.
Indeed we are, looking forward to it with great anticipation. Interesting, boys, when you stop and think about SwiftX poll for both our events tonight represent last week's winners, so we'll see whether Brodie and Dane can do the job once again. So we'll try now at take 2 and see if we can get back to having a conversation with Nick Percat, who's been making news just in the recent past. Are you there, Mr Percat?
I am here. My engineer, Nelson, let me down. He muted me and I didn't realise.
Yeah, see, I shouldn't have insulted him when we got started, so he probably had enough of both of us and just swiped the audio out. Nice to see you, Nick. Thanks for joining us. And so before we get to talk about what's going on this evening, very big news just in the recent past. Came as something of a shock, frankly, especially on the back of the early announcement that you were going to be staying with Brad Jones Racing, but you're off. What's happening?
Yeah, tough decision, obviously. You know Brad very well, and for me, that was the hardest decision of my life, and not something I took, easily. So, yeah, I don't know, something just clicked in my head, and I woke up and just said, I think I need to move on. It's run its course, and I've had a really good 5 years with Brad Jones Racing, and the harder thing is we're not partying on bad ways. It's just, for me, I just need a bit of a change. So, yeah, need to somehow lock in a drive now for next year, but it's all looking pretty positive. But the amazing thing was Brad was able to, release me after, we spoke about it a lot over probably 4 or 5 weeks. And then now I can go off and try and sort myself out for my future and put myself where I think I need to be.
Must be a difficult thing to do given the emotional ties, and even winding the clock back to the 2020 season where you had a couple of victories and Armour All breakthrough pole. Pretty big deal in a driver's life to be able to tear that up and walk away. Yeah,
100%. And, like anything, if both parties aren't 100%, loving it or happy with what they're doing, it's never going to work. And especially in any elite sport, the margins are so tight. So I think, for me, it was best to not have this little thing in the back of my head wondering if I should have moved on or tried to move on or something like that. So, I do apologise to him for the confusion of, we've announced that I'm staying and then I've done this, but it's, I really have enjoyed my time at Brad Jones Racing, and hopefully one day, Brad, he can talk to me again and enjoy our friendship that we've always had. But for now, I know I need to let him have a little bit of a time to think about it and process it, and we'll go racing again in a few weeks' time, and hopefully get some more trophies for him.
Quick conversation now about E-Series then, and I'm told that it was Last Minute Motors, you getting the sim together for tonight and getting stuck into it.
Yeah, I got very lucky. Racecraft helped me out with a simulator here, and I've got all the fruit now, unlike last season. So hopefully I can have a bit better time of it this year. And so far it already looks a lot more light-hearted and not serious. So it'll be a lot more fun, and I'm just looking forward to it. I've been on the chat with Tommy Randall back in Melbourne, and just catching up with him. So it's been fun so far. And Nelson's obviously engineered me real well, ruined our chat, and he's more interested in the Pizza Hut pizza I've got sitting over there.
All right, mate, good to catch up. Thanks for the explanation and have fun tonight. Hope it all goes well for you.
No worries. Thanks, Neil. Good to speak to you again.
Thank you. Nick Percat, Brad Jones Racing. He'll be running this evening. We're going to see him in action in Monza very shortly. We're going to take our first break. On the other side, we'll get stuck into some racing on the Cash Converters Supercars E-Series. As we go to the break, thanks to Shannon's, here's a fantastic way for you to win some amazing prizes.
Our friends at Shannon's are giving motoring enthusiasts the chance to win 2 automotive icons, a 1977 Pontiac Firebird Trans Am and a new Chief Dark Horse Indian motorcycle. The prize also includes up to 12 months Shannon's comprehensive car and bike insurance and Shannon's roadside assist, plus $5,000 cash. That's up to $110,000 in prizes. To enter, go online or call Shannon's on 13 46 46 and obtain an eligible quote on your car, bike or home insurance. The Cash Converters Supercars E-Series is proudly brought to you by Shaw. Sound extraordinary on and off the track.
Hi, it's these, thanks. Good choice. Maybe $52.99, thanks. Thanks.
Repco, it starts with the parts.
Make more of the things you want possible with Cash Converters. Life made possible.
The Cash Converters Supercars E-Series is proudly brought to you by Pioneer DJ. Born to perform, pioneers of excellence.
Settle in, this is the Cash Converters Supercars E-Series. Got a couple of very big races for tonight. A little bit later on, we're off to Monza, which was the location where Daniel Ricciardo picked up that wonderful 8th Grand Prix victory for McLaren last weekend. Big weekend for Aussies because Oscar Piastri, who we spoke to on this program a couple of weeks ago, also cleaned up in Formula 2. Fantastic performance, consolidating his opportunities going forward. Maybe, fingers crossed, a Formula 1 opportunity for him. But first up, pro gamers, can anybody knock off Dane Warren? He's been unbeatable pole, and he's got another pole position. To get us in the mood, let's go back to Chad and Jonathan. And boys, looking forward to this one at the Island.
Yes, we are, Neil. Very much looking forward to this one. Don't tell my boss, but I stayed up all night watching Formula One on Sunday. I couldn't resist the opportunity to watch Daniel Ricciardo take a giant win on Sunday night. It was a very late one, and really looking forward to what we've got coming up tonight. Let's check out the Shannon's Insurance race facts for the first stop, which is going to be Phillip Island. High deg track, lots to think about here.
Yeah, groovy as well. Love the music. 14 laps of action, 22 minutes if we go time certain. We are back to our mini fuel drop E-Series races where drivers will need to take around about 20.5 litres at a minimum in their pit stop to make the checkered flag. You may see drivers fuel save to reduce that pit transit time right there. Here is the track map of Phillip Island. A couple of hot spots to take note of. Turns 4 and 10 at Honda and MG, notably for heavy braking zones and great overtaking opportunities as well. It's a 4.4 kilometre circuit, 12 corners, 26 metres of elevation change. The pit window is exciting here. With high degradation, drivers could come in earlier than lap 4, but we're expecting them to come in between laps 4 and 8. Nobody can make it past lap 8 on fuel.
There is your Cash Converters points leader, Dane Warren. He'll be starting on the SwiftX pole position once again tonight. And this is who'll be queuing up behind him on the Crust Pizza grid. They're queuing up on the grid right now. It's Dane Warren and Jackson Suzlin-Harlow, who had his nose in front in that qualifying session, just hundreds of a second separating it. Well done, Brad Jones Racing on the front row. Jordan Caruso with a best qualifying performance, and Madison Down, his best of the season. He has won 2 races here in the E-Series. Jake Burton, he's raced here IRL in real life. Andrew Gilliam, he's driven that car in real life. This year, a Super 3 test at Queensland Raceway. James Scott will be lining up alongside Jared Filsell. Got some moves to make. He's one of the quickest guys in the field. Ethan Warren back inside the top 10. And Erebus sporting the Erebus garage colours tonight for Job Stewart. They're doing up a cool old pickup truck at the moment for Scott Pye in that garage. Corey Shepherd starting outside the top 10. Richard Hampstead alongside him in the Boost Mobile colours. Forza Al Nabi, the Auckland cars have got a different lick of paint on them. Cooper Webster won a race in S5000 in the wet, just 18 years of age at Phillip Island. He's an absolute star of the future. Brady Myers, a bit further back tonight in the Shell V-powered colours alongside the Penrite car of Wayne Burke. Sam Blacklock returns tonight. Josh Anderson's got some work to do from 18th in the Cool Drive colours. Behind them, Ryan Wood for Team Sydney, local legends. Blake Purdy is back on board with the Shannon's car. Tyler Everingham will be his teammate in the All-Stars tonight. Ethan Grigult on the podium here before in the E-Series. Has a lot of cars to pass out of 21st. Simon Feigl out of 22nd. And a bad night in SwiftX qualifying for Emily Jones sees her off the back in the Cash Converters Mustang. How far can Emily climb up the field in this one? That's your Crust Pizza grid. And we are set and ready to go for race 4 of the championship. Not too far away from going lights out. Cars are on the grid. It is a famous circuit. Both circuits tonight with nearly 100 years of history behind them. We love the island. We love the Cash Converter Supercars E-Series. And we are racing for race 4. And remember, changes to the starting procedures, mixes things up. But Dane Warren has done exactly what he needed to do. He nails the start, and he will lead them down into the first corner. Job done for Walkinshaw Andretti United down towards turn 1. Watch for the bedlam behind them as they sort it out into the southern loop. And Phil Sell trying to make some moves early. Remember, starting 6th, he's already up to 5th. He's on the move.
And an awful start for Repco Racing's Jordan Caruso, down 6 spots to 9th. He went nowhere on the line, had a lot of wheel spin, and now Dane Warren under attack at Honda.
On the defensive side of the road, so Jackson Suzlin-Harlow putting the pressure on Brad Jones Racing with 2 cars inside these top 4 spots at the moment. So great start, and around goes Caruso. Wayne Burke's backwards as well, and that is bad news. Cooper Webster's lost the rear wing off that car for Team 18. And that was drama down at turn 4, and 1 or 2 big names taken out. And Jordan Caruso will be filthy with his performance tonight because he did such a good job in SwiftX qualifying, and it's all turned poorly for him down at Honda. What a shame.
And that could be the prize money done for Caruso. Top 5 positions in the championship win series cash and prizes for Caruso, already sitting outside that mark. He's got a lot of work to do here over the next 13 laps.
Don't look for anyone pitting quite this early, but maybe in the next couple of laps to get that undercut and use the fresh tyres to your advantage. Jackson Suzlin-Harlow running in 2nd as Dane Warren tries his hardest to try and break that slipstream.
3 Brad Jones Racing drivers from 2nd to 4th. And Madison Down is a Phillip Island specialist, not only in the E-Series, but also in sim racing in general.
Yeah, he's made that move to the Repco 24/7 team. It's been very quick. Cash Converters instant cash moment. What happened down here at Honda? Stacks on the field. Oh, wow. That's a tight one to call. But, gee, multiple cars involved. Heavy damage to a number of runners.
I think you need a Supreme Court judge to decide who's at fault for that one.
You know what's at least encouraging about it? We've all been there on iRacing. We've all been caught up in the lap one, big one. It's good to know that even the pros can fall that way as well.
Yeah, I get sick of tired personally of even the pro drivers complaining about driving standards. I think every form of motor racing you go to, there's always bad driving standards. And sometimes it just happens. In wheel-to-wheel racing, it's a lot difficult to deal with in virtual racing just because of it's hard to know where the driver is ahead on a computer screen compared to your own eyes visually in the real world too.
On board with Jake Burton. Got the Dunlop colours down at MG. A little short shift through here. West Aussie now living in Melbourne. And third straight season with the crew at Brad Jones Racing in the Dunlop colours.
That's something that Madison Down taught me, who, in my opinion, is the best around Phillip Island out of any driver on the grid. And he showed me some short shifting techniques through the exit of Honda and over there as well at the exit of MG. He's currently sitting in third, never finished below second at Phillip Island in the E-Series. Won the opening race ever for our E-Series here in 2019, on iRacing that is. There was an E-Series beforehand. As Brady Myers is having definitely a most improved year, I would say, sitting 13th at the moment.
Yeah, did well to try and avoid the carnage on lap one. And pit stops have already started. And a few guys here taking the early pit stop because they would have had damage, particularly Cooper Webster, who was missing the entire rear of that car. As Ethan Grigalt on the podium here last year is dropped and away.
So that is a penalty for Sam Blacklock for speeding on entry, because he's sitting in that box for about 25 seconds so far. So it's around about a 30-second penalty.
That's a tough one. So Cooper Webster, first of the guys on track to have made their pit stop. We'll just put a little bookmark under his name for now. Now, anyone from this lead pack going to be brave enough to pit on lap 3?
So 27 seconds is the window you're looking for, and Jared Filsell has a window right ahead of Cooper Webster.
Surely someone pits out of this lead pack. Come on, lap 3, be aggressive. No. No one peels off.
And the reason for that is they don't want to give up a fresh set of Dunlop rubber. Despite the high tyre degradation we get at Phillip Island, track temperature only 23 degrees Celsius. They're very durable here today. Now the predicted pit window opens at lap 4. You should see a flurry of cars come into the lane.
If you're Jackson Susan Harlow, you do not want to pit on the same lap as Dane Warren. Perfect world, you're pitting the lap before him.
The problem is, with such a difficult pit entry, it's tough to react. So he has to be spot on with his reaction time. If he sees Dane Warren doesn't dive in, he's going to make sure he nails his turn-in point. Otherwise, he'll be off into the grass and miss pit entry.
Very good point. Love the curb cam down at Casey Stoner corner. Roll down towards Honda. If you haven't had a chance to see or hear iRacing before, it's so cool. Turn it up. Short sounds of the game. We're going to put you down at Siberia. Love the short sounds of the game. Love the view looking over the Bass Strait. This is Phillip Island, brilliantly recreated in iRacing. The race leader is Dane Warren, and we are well into that pit stop window now. And we know that the Brad Jones racing cars typically like to run long into the race before making that pit stop to maximise the clean air. That would be a tough track to do it at Phillip Island, given the higher than normal tyre degradation.
Now, with the tyres lasting a long way, we can already tell today, drivers may fuel save, and we can get a glimpse of that with the Harvey Norman numbers of Susan Harlow as he heads through Hayshen and Mookie Heights. Will he back off and his top speed will be limited through the corners? We'll see. Because if you save some fuel, you'll reduce that pit transit time. If you can save about half a litre to a litre of fuel, you also save about half a second on your pit time. Right now, Jackson Suslin-Harlow is in with a great shot to snatch victory from Dane Warren, because Dane Warren is allowing them to fuel save with the draft.
Oh, Dane Warren's first in. So no one will get the undercut, but he will get clean air. Can he make the most of the Jackson Suslin-Harlow on this lap?
You had to do that if you're Dane Warren, because now you're supporting all the Brad Jones racing car drivers to save fuel, and it's going to shorten their pit stop. So smart decision by the Walkinshaw driver to dive in.
Now, if you're Brad Jones Racing, you've got 2 cars in this lead pack. Do you decide to keep one out? Do you split the strategies, essentially? Do you bring one in this lap and one go long? And someone in the background, it was Wood, who missed his pit box and having to reverse back into it, so that's going to cost him seconds. What do they do this time around? Do they do the typical Brad Jones go long strategy? Or do they answer the call on this lap? G. Madison Down looks like he's got some speed in that Repco car.
Yeah. He is the connoisseur of Phillip Island, the savant, seasoned veteran.
Very quick here. Loving the Jackson Suslin-Harlow trophy room in the background. Garth Tander gave us a look into his trophy cabinet this week on Supercars Instagram, which is an eye-opener, from the Peter Brock trophies, plural, to the championship-winning trophy. Who's going to win some silverware in the E-Series this year?
What a shot heading into MG, into the braking zone. Gravity does nothing to help stop the car down. Does anybody dive in at the end of lap 6 for Phil Sell? Will he make that decision?
Oh, wow. So not a huge disparity in the strategies inside the top 5 cars. Now Dane Warren, 11.7 second pit stop. Certainly an opportunity here. That's at the slower end of the scale. Can the Brad Jones Racing drivers or Madison Down maybe jump this car? And how quick has this outlap been for Dane Warren? He has just been so cool under pressure. Every time that they've thrown an attack at him so far this year, they've had an answer. 11.7 seconds was his stationary pit stop time. Suslin-Harlow needs to be lower than that. And it's not, 11.5, it's not going to be enough. Here comes the rejoin. And they might have him nearly, not quite. Dane Warren swings back into the lead of the race.
Oh, now where's Phil Sell? Phil Sell's had a 20-second stop, and that's not a penalty. Has he accidentally put too much fuel on board? And what you do as a driver is you have to disengage the actual button that puts fuel in the car. So has he forgotten to do that? What's gone wrong there? Because that's not a penalty if it's a 20-second stop. Wow. That's championship changing. Top 3 in the championship. Dane Warren's best challenger, and the Boost Mobile racing car driver has fallen down the order. And I don't even know where he's placed at the moment relative to the rest of the field.
That is a tough one for Jared Philsell. And where is he going to wash out here after losing 8 seconds? And he doesn't look overly happy about it, does he? He's hot under the collar.
If you read those lips, which I certainly did, apologies, but that certainly tells the story as well. Something's definitely gone wrong for Phil Sell in the stop. It'll be good to get a word from him and figure that out later on post-race. So whilst all your leaders dive in, nobody will make it past the end of lap 8 on fuel. It's impossible to fuel save that long. So for Forzen Al Nabi and Jordan Caruso, who have yet to enter the lane, they will come in this lap, which means it's a mad dash to the finish. So at the moment, Dane Warren effectively leads this race ahead of JSH, ahead of Madison Down, ahead of Jake Burton. That's your top 4.
Well, whatever that error was in the pit stop for Erebus, it might just cost that team some prize money at the end of the year. Second in the championship, and the guys who are 3rd and 4th in the points, Burton and Suslin-Harlow, are about to dunk on him here because they're sitting potentially inside the top 3.
You know I love a basketball reference. Bit of an ankle breaker here, potentially, at Siberia.
Emily Jones started at the back of the grid, clawed her way up to 19th at the moment in the very cool Cash Converters Mustang. Seen plenty of this car throughout the year so far. Hasn't been the season for her. Been focused on a lot of different esports though, Emily. Remember, she's part of the McLaren Shadow team, so Dan Ricciardo is not the only Aussie driver at McLaren. At the moment, we also have Emily Jones in that stable as well.
She's been very unlucky in terms of incidents. We saw what happened at Long Beach in the battle with Shannon's Racing Blake Purdy, and definitely not the most content or happiest I've seen Emily so far, and she's hoping for a clean race today at best. So El Nabi and Caruso come in. That's it. Everybody served that one compulsory pit stop as required by the Supercars supplementary regulations. It's now a mad dash to the finish. Suzlin Harlow within a second of Warren, but slowly and slowly losing that slipstream that kept our championship leader honest in the opening stint. And remember, Suzlin Harlow and Jake Burton are also fighting for championship prizes and positions as well. Despite Madison down the order, almost outside the top 10, he needs every point he can get to claim a prize-paying position, as he did in our first 2 years of the E-Series.
Blake Purdy in the Shannon's insurance car, working away at the moment, number 48 in the field. And Blake doing a nice job sitting just outside of the top 11 spots at the moment. And we're hearing that there'll be a post-race penalty coming away of car 62 as well. And that'll be Forza El Nabi.
No, what did he do?
Not too sure. For contact on the racetrack. Got to guess that that might be Job Stewart. Is an uneducated guess at this point, but for some of the chat that I'm seeing on Discord.
Now, there have been some post-race penalties the past few rounds for drivers not using first gear in the pit lane.
Yep.
As you saw all the dilemmas and dramas.
Which is essentially what cost Josh Rogers the title last year.
Correct. I think that the thing with that is there were some people who said if you never owned up to it, they wouldn't have caught you. I think there are already about 5 to 10 people verbally giving him a scolding for doing that. So he ended up owning up to it to tell people, hey, it wasn't deliberate. It was unintentional. I didn't mean to break the rules. And it was the classiest way to do it. But yes, those penalties cost him the championship. And then an incident at this very racetrack with Jake Burton in which he served a penalty. And I spoke to Josh after that and said, hey, apart from losing the big championship trophy and all that pride, all that really happened to you was you lost $2,500. You still finished second in the championship.
Tough night for Richard Hampstead, who is sporting the Boost Mobile colours at Tickford and trying to get his championship charge going, sitting 16th in this race. And have a look at this train of cars. They're queuing up behind Cooper Webster at Team 18. Forza El Nabi is in there. He's got the post-race penalty headed his way. Loving the new Auckland look on that car. It's very Rick Kelly 2006 on that paint job. Speaking of famous days of the island. And he's going to peek down the inside. Oh. And there might just be a little bit of a rub.
On the freshest rubber, of course, along with Jordan Caruso. They're still arguing for it at the exit.
Cleared him on the outside. Nice move. Falls in El Nabi. And he'll need that clean racetrack to try and build up as much of a gap as he can in the Erebus Garage car. Job Stewart's running with him.
Look at the gap for the lead, by the way. I'm just keeping one eye on that. From 1 second down to 0.6 of a second. The race isn't over.
Oh, this is tight. James Scott in the BP car. You can't go the outside. You can't go the outside at turn 1. He gets out of it. That was cool. Couldn't quite make it stick. Loving the Erebus Garage look on that car tonight for Job Stewart. Nicely done to the crew at Erebus. To Job, part of their junior academy, which is translating over to real life experience in the Toyota 86s for Job. So cool young guy out of Mount Gambier in South Australia. High school student, working up through the ranks of his motor racing career with Erebus as Scott and Purdy in the Shannon's car switch spots and continue their fight down at Honda.
Heck of a battle pack that's brewing here in the closing stages of the race as we ride on board with Scott. Top 10 in the championship. Having a career year, obviously, as a rookie.
Riding on board the BP Ultimate car, and BP are giving you the chance to win free BP Ultimate fuel for the entire year. This is a great promo and a great prize to be won. You can enter via the BP Instagram page, so go to BP Ultimate Racing. If you're a big fan of Bert, as we all are in the supercars world, you can go and check out plenty of exclusive Bert content on the BP Ultimate Racing page. They've also got, of course, Tom Randall lining up in the All-Star race later tonight, but James Scott doing a very nice job in that car He popped up for a wildcard performance at this track last year.
You'd hope that they've read the Suprex and taken on some BP fuel in their pit stop as Dane Warren sets a new Seagate fastest lap. Al Nabi with the post-race penalty will let Cooper Webster sail past in the Irwin Tools Commodore. So look at the gap again between your top two. As I said, this is a great battle down the back end of the order. Al Nabi with the penalty won't be battling too hard, you would say. Suzlin Harlow keeping Dane Warren honest too. Heck of a race shaping up in the closing laps here from Phillip Island. Will somebody stop Dane Warren in the Middies Commodore?
It's on down at turn 4. And on the defensive side of the road, the Irwin Tools car prevails, but have a look as this train takes on more cars towards the back. Jared Filsell's now caught up to these guys, and Jared is fast and fired up. So watch for Jared to try and pick up a few more spots in this pack.
That's actually very unlucky for Al Nabi. I don't want to say unlucky. He did cause the incident and receive the penalty, but this would have been his best result of the season. Finished on the podium in the opening race last year in 2020, his first ever race in the Pro Series, and has gone backwards since. Busy with work commitments and everything else. How about Jared Filsell, a top 5 driver in the world as of 2019, and one of the best Australian sim racers we've got. Look at all the cars he's got to tick off his list in 2 laps around Phillip Island. Could not have a tougher task than that.
That's the view looking down the front straight. Awesome view that it is, headed into the ocean. And where is he going to make these moves stick? So turn 4 will be the first opportunity that presents itself as we go back to the leaders with a lap and a half to go, and it's pretty close back here. Madison Down putting the pressure on the back of Jackson Suzlin Harlow. Dane Warren doing a nice job for now.
Now, I've just learned something there with Dane Warren trail braking into Honda through the middle part of the racetrack. That makes you second guess throwing up a dive bomb on your championship leader. Was there contact down the back?
Suzlin Harlow just looked like the back end of that car stood out for a moment under brakes. Look at that gap. So it stretches out just for a moment as Madison Down continues to put the pressure on the back of his ex-teammate JSH. Jake Burton doing a nice job just collecting the points. May jump up to second in the championship tonight. It'll be pretty tight between himself and Suzlin Harlow off the back of this one. If they finish the way they do, sit on the road right now. Got the feeling, though, there might just be some late race drama in this one.
I think between the teammates, I hope not. Brad has already
big enough
suffered with enough.
Doesn't need that now, does he? They were into each other at round 1 as well, the teammates of the A1 ring, the Red Bull ring. Last lap. Filsell still behind Brady Myers in that pack that we were watching earlier. And are we going to see a change amongst the top 4? What a great drive it's been for the Middies Electrical Walkinshaw Andretti United star. He just is in a league of his own at the moment, about to go to 600 points. Hasn't dropped a single point so far this year. And we'll have a nice championship lead heading into the Bathurst Enduro that's coming up next week. And this is getting a little bit fun now, so a few drivers playing the game on the defensive side down at turn 4.
Jake Burton short shifting, and he hadn't even reached the apex of Honda. So he just can't go anywhere. You second guess yourself when you've got a teammate in front of you. Good stuff by Dane Warren. If he does win this race, Chad will extend that race win streak to 5. Best record in E-Series history.
Picking up where Josh Rogers left off in the record book, although he is the defending champion. Stole the championship in the last race of last season right here at Phillip Island, and the good times are going to continue for Walkinshaw Andretti United. And what a job Chaz Mostert's going to have to do when he partners this guy next week at Bathurst, because he is the championship favourite by a mile with 2 races to go. He's perfect at the island. And once again, it's Dane Warren weaving his way to victory in the pros. Congratulations to Walkinshaw Andretti United. And a sigh of relief. He knows he's stepping 1 step closer to the championship. Jackson Suzlin Harlow home for second. Madison Down, nice job. His best performance of the year and his first podium. And in the 4 races that we've had at the island, he's been on the podium every single time. He said he's good around here. That just proves it. Jake Burton 4th. Andrew Gilliam didn't see too much of the Matt Stone guy, but had a fairly trouble-free run inside the top 5 spots. Dane Warren can afford to crack a smile because he is the man to beat in this championship. The view off the back of Siberia as the birds fly in the background. How romantic. It's Dane Warren, half a second ahead of Jackson Suzlin-Harlow. Madison down, and a couple of Brad Jones racing cars inside the top 5, continuing their strong run. Ethan Warren, his best result since the opening round. That's the brother of Dane. And poor Jared Vilsell, he was inside that lead pack. Something went wrong during that pit stop, and he dropped a lot of spots, a lot of points, and he was furious about that. Bosch race highlights. Now, it was a clean race apart from one corner where it all seemed to unfurl. Great start for Dane Warren. He was on the SwiftX pole. Jackson Suzlin-Harlow went with him, but not quite where he wanted to be. And you picked it up at the time, Jonathan. The Repco car of Jordan Caruso was a little bit slow away, and that really dropped him behind Amy Lyons at turn 4.
And then we had another big one here. There was Caruso, turned around one more time, caused chaos behind for everybody else. A lot of carnage, penalties that ensued afterwards for that. And of course, for the Brad Jones racing drivers, they were in no man's land with Dane Warren entering the pit lane, and they just couldn't beat him. Dane Warren with the undercut and fresh rubber climbed ahead, and no Jared Vilsell on the exit of pit lane there at the other side of those pictures.
Caruso was trying desperately to bring his way back through the field. Love the shot of the rear brake rotors glowing down there at MG. And that was a spot made on Emily Jones. And the battle pack at the front was really strong, and that was the result. How relieving would that be right now for our championship leader?
Yeah, breath of fresh air, and one of your championship rivals suffering with a very poor pit stop.
Well done. Congratulations to Dane Warren picking up our win today. And Neil, that is another strong performance for Walkinshaw Andretti United. Nobody can touch that guy at the moment.
Middy's electrical entry for Walkinshaw Andretti United. Fantastic job for Dane Warren. So unbelievable performance. Congratulations. He got home by about half a second from our special guest now in the mega wall, and Jackson Suzlin-Harlow. Fantastic performance from you. You did a nice job there. Did you enjoy having a blast at the island?
Yeah, love this track. It was an awesome race. Cheers to all the BJR boys. Awesome teamwork there. Made a little error with 2 to go. We were a bit close on fuel, so we were having to save a bit of fuel, but at the same time, I wanted to give it everything to try get Dane, and yeah, he's very quick, so good job to him. Shame we couldn't get him this time.
And you had plenty of pressure as well, because Madison was all over the back of you in the Repco entry, so there's a bit of BJR action there.
Yeah, no, it's awesome racing against them boys. They're both very quick, very good at this, so yeah, it's awesome being up there with them this year, and yeah, second, third, fourth, can't complain, but yeah, I think we need to knock Dane off. He's having too many wins, but yeah, 2 more rounds, so we'll have a crack and see where we end up next one.
All right, it's a pleasure to talk to you. Well done tonight. Nice work. Missed out by half a second. A little bit more homework. Thanks for having a Shaw live chat with us once more. We're going to take a break. On the other side, we'll catch up with Scott Pye. Looking forward to a conversation with him. He's the Team 18 driver who is driving the DeWalt Racing entry. Stay with us. This is the Cash Converters Supercars E-Series.
The Cash Converters Supercars E-Series is proudly brought to you by Cash Converters, making more of the things you want possible.
Make more of the things you want possible with Cash Converters. Life made possible.
Our high-performance race team needs a high-performance technology partner.
At Red Bull Ampol Racing, we rely on HP computers to power our on-track winning performance.
The Supercars Championship ignites and batters.
The HP product range keeps us on top from design to drive. Red Bull Ampol Racing, powered by HP, and available right now at Harvey Norman.
Cash Converters Supercars E-Series is proudly brought to you by Cash Converters, making more of the things you want possible.
That DeWalt Racing entry for Team 18 is a gorgeous looking thing. Scott Pye is the driver. Welcome back to the Cash Converters Supercars E-Series. Already this evening we've crowned a victor. Dane Warren was able to get the job done, as he has done throughout the previous 3 rounds and then added to it tonight. Can Brodie Kostecki do the same thing from a SwiftX pole? We'll find out very shortly. But before that, it's time to have a chat to Scotty Pye, who joins us on the coverage. Nice to see you, mate. It's been a little while, and looking forward to all of us going racing again in the not too distant future. Welcome.
Good day, Neil. It's great to see you, mate. When you were talking about how lovely the DeWalt machine looked, I thought actually for a moment you were looking at my webcam and you were going to give me a compliment. But it is great to hear your voice again. I miss you. I'm looking forward to seeing everyone back soon, very soon, hopefully. And yeah, get some real racing going. But for the meantime, we're at Monza, and I'm sure it's about to be extremely chaotic.
I'm guaranteeing that that will be the case. We'll talk about that in just a tick. I want to talk supercars for just a moment, the Repco Supercars Championship. 13th in the championship so far, and some really solid results. It was a good run up there in Queensland last time out at Townsville. Give us your executive summary of the year to date.
Oh, it's been tough, mate. It's been a year that has had plenty of opportunities not go our way, and there's been times where we've been in great situations that we could have capitalised on, like in Darwin when I made that mistake at turn 1, and then later on in the weekend we had more opportunities, but unfortunately just some little mechanical gremlins have kind of affected, I guess, our entire season. So it's been unlucky. It's not through the lack of effort from everyone at the team. And, you know, we've certainly improved massively in our pit stops and the way everyone's working together for our second season together, but it just hasn't come to fruition, mate. So I'm disappointed to be P13, but there's still plenty of opportunity left in this year once we go racing. So I think for us, the target now is to be inside the top 10 at the end of the 1,000. That's obviously the curtain for the championship, and that's one I'm really excited about. But yeah, I think there's still opportunity to move up into the top 10 of the championship. That has to be our target. Obviously, it was a little bit higher than that starting the season, but it's just it's one of those things, mate. You can't have everything go your way. So just put my head down and see what we can do with the rest of the year.
Clearly the raw pace is there. You don't put the car on the second row of the grid in Darwin without having raw pace. And the great challenge for many competitors in the field, including yourself, is always just finding that consistency sweet spot.
Exactly, yeah, and qualifying's still been our biggest hurdle, but race pace, unfortunately, hasn't. We've probably gone somewhere in between qualifying and race from last year, so it's meant that we've qualified slightly better at times, but then not been able to capitalise like we probably could have last year with a faster race car. But we've been more consistent, I think. Darwin was, of course, a really big highlight for us. Our car speed was great. And to be honest, I think even Townsville, we were stronger than last year, but we just didn't get to show it, especially that first, I think it was the first weekend when we had the suspension failure when we were running fairly well. So it's little things like that. Once you get that result, it's just, you know, the momentum builds from there. So it was difficult, but yeah, mate, I'm so keen to go back racing. I can't wait. I'm hassling Charlie all the time for details on when we are going racing, because I've definitely got itchy feet, and unfortunately the iRacing just doesn't give me the fix that the real racing does.
I spoke to him yesterday and he's as keen as the rest of us, so we're looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the sim. So you're off to Monza in a heartbeat. Now, you did a bit of racing in the UK and in Europe. Have you been there before?
I have. I raced here in British Formula 3. I love the place, but it's a tricky one. Turn 1 and 2 in real life, I broke the front wing in 2 of the 3 races. I'll never forget that, because it's a long old day in the office in an aero car when you've broken the front wing. But it was a place that one of the bucket list circuits I always wanted to go to, this and Spa. But I walked the oval. It's just, it is an iconic circuit, and getting a race here was a great opportunity. I definitely feel like I was more competitive in real life than I am tonight on the sim. I think I'm P20. So, I wish I could wind the clock back, Nate, and be there in real life.
It is an unbelievable racetrack. We saw some cool racing there last weekend. Hey, listen, there's a theme running through the program this evening. It's a canine theme. Now, I believe your teammate for this evening is a dog. So, just like Mr. Percat, tell us about it.
Yeah, I've got Biggie Smalls is a rescue. So obviously, not obviously, but some people might know I lost my dog last year while we were on the road, which was, pretty tough. But around December, we found one online that needed rescuing, and we rescued him, fostered him. It was a foster fail. We now own him. He's part of the family, and yeah, he's settled in really well. He's a little Aussie bulldog, and amazing personality. But I'm streaming on Twitch right now as well, so I've got plenty of people listening to this live, this interview. But he jumped up before and featured on my stream. So there's plenty of friendly chat. So I was just showing him off, really. But yeah, he's settled right in here at home now.
Awesome. Hopefully Biggie can give you some decent chat when it comes to roll centres, spring rates, wing angles, whatever might be required.
He probably knows about as much as I do about spring rates and setting this thing up.
That's cool, mate. Well, great to have a chat. Have a good run after the break. We'll catch up with you soon. Look forward to seeing you in person not too far from now.
Thanks, Neil. Great to see you back on the screen. Cheers, mate.
Yeah. Thanks, Scotty. Scott Pye on our Shore live chat. We're going to take a break now on the Cash Converters Supercars E-Series. And as we were talking, we're off to Monza with this gang in just a tick.
The Cash Converters Supercars E-Series is proudly brought to you by Crust. Fuel up with Crust.
Hi, it's these, thanks. Good choice. That'd be $52.99, thanks. Thanks.
Repco, it starts with the parts.
Make more of the things you want possible with Cash Converters. Life made possible.
Cash Converters Supercars E-Series is proudly brought to you by Seagate Gaming, specialists in console and PC storage.
What a gorgeous racing track. Monza, Italy, home of the Italian Grand Prix last weekend, and tonight we're featuring supercars on this iconic location. Looking forward to it. Welcome back to the Cash Converters Supercars E-Series. Brody Kostecki's got the SwiftX pole for this evening. He's also our points leader in the championship. He's got an 18-point margin over Cam Waters, who looks pretty racy. And on that topic, Anton Di Pasquale for Shell V-Power Racing looks fast as well. So we've got big battle going on between Erebus, between Tickford and between Dick Johnson Racing. So looking forward to a resumption of play. So boys, let's get back to you in Melbourne. Chad, Jonathan, this is going to be an absolute ripper at an awesome racetrack.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun last year in the All-Stars, and a lot of our fans have been really enjoying the racing, but also have been enjoying Neil Crompton's photo albums, and this is backed by popular demand. Neil, we loved your photos from Long Beach and from Road America. The fan feedback has been so good that they wanted to see some photos from Monza. You got any photos from Monza?
No, I don't have any photos from Monza. Chad, I've not been to Monza. Been to Spa and a few.
It's funny you should mention that, because I saw you on the podium on the weekend,
Yeah,
Neil.
there you go. That's me.
There you go. Finished P3 off the back of the grid.
Yeah.
Did you hop in the shoey?
Yeah, I
Here you are, the post-race party.
Would you buy a used car from any of those people?
I would get a slice of pizza from them. Larko, Scafey, Lounsey, GT, and
pizza.
Uncle Neil. How was it?
Awesome, unbelievable. We were great.
And you skipped quarantine.
Where is this going exactly?
No, that was just a bit of fun. I'm looking forward to Bathurst next week. We've got a whole heap of photos we can pull up.
No problem with Bathurst. I can put everybody to sleep in 0.2 of a second when it comes to Bathurst. Been going this since 1932.
Oh, I love it. All right, we'll let you get back to enjoying the action. We're going to tell you all about the Shannon's Insurance race facts. No hidden photos in here, but plenty of facts that Jonathan's going to run us through. The race facts that matter, Jono, for Monza.
Yeah, so 12 laps of action coming up for this race. It'll be a mad sprint to the finish, and how fitting is it too that the world's fastest man on 2 feet is also an Italian as well. Fuel won't be an issue, but we'll come back to that compulsory pit stop because there are some intricacies that you will need to consider in today's event for your All-Stars and your best talent from supercars. Here is La Pista Magica, the magic track, the Temple of Speed. Looks no more a racetrack, Chad, than it does a shoe, I would say, right there. It looks exactly like a shoe, I would say. It's a very good racetrack, a lot of hot spots as well. Turns 1 and 4 invites a lot of overtaking and a lot of action. Drivers must pit in the opening 6 laps, and then we will have a mandatory BP Ultimate Safety Car intervention afterwards.
Shaped just like the boot that Daniel Ricciardo was drinking from when he picked up that awesome win on the weekend. SwiftX Pole Award, and yep, Brody Kostecki, 3 out of 4 for the year so far. And what was so impressive about that lap is he had everybody queuing up behind him trying to pinch a bit of a toe down the front straight. It did not matter. He just went out there and did the job anyway. That's the queue of cars lining up behind him. Nobody could stick with him, and he picked up his 3rd SwiftX Pole Award, and that little tally up to $600 worth of Bitcoin. So well done to Brody, the crew from Erebus. And he has his race face on. Can he switch from oval trim into road course trim? And we're going to be lining him up on our crust starting order just like this. Brody Kostecki alongside Anton Di Pasquale, who picked up the pole here last year. Nicely done, Anton. James Golding, best performance so far for the season. Richie Stanaway was leading the points. DNF last week. Can he get that Auckland car back up the order? Matt Payne, star of the future, out of 5th. Chaz Mostert back towards the front of the field for Chaz. On the podium here last year in the All-Stars. Zane Goddard and Justin Rugia will factor in this one. Cool to see Zane inside the top 10 in the yellow cover Matt Stone racing car. Nice job. Matt McLean, new single out for the Crookeds. Well done, Matt. Super 2 driver. Alongside fellow Super 2 star Jaden Ojeda. Had a recent test of Matt Stone Racing. Maybe going to pop up on the grid at Bathurst. Nick Percat on the move in 2022. We know that he's here tonight alongside Tom Randall. They've been sharing sim sessions together. They're sharing row 11. Andre Heimgartner, another driver on the move next year. He's starting alongside Gary Jacobson, who we welcome back to the series tonight. Jack LeBrock will be starting alongside Todd Hazelwood. Jack picked up a race win at Phillip Island last year. Cam Waters down the order, 2nd in points, got some work to do. Starting alongside Scott Pine, the DeWalt colours. Tony D'Alberto out of 19th. Loving the Brabham livery that we have on Sam Brabham's Mustang. Suits Monza. Tyler Everingham back into the Shannon's colours alongside Macaulay Jones. 22 car field. Crust Pizza have got you sorted tonight. Still plenty of time to get on and order a slice of pizza to be delivered to your door tonight if you're stuck in lockdown on the east coast of the country. Championship points thanks to Cash Converters. Brody Kostecki wrestled that championship lead away from Richie Stanaway the last round at Daytona. Cam Waters sits 2nd. Finished 2nd at this race last year behind Scott McLaughlin. Needs to get moving. And how about that battle between 3rd, Richie Stanaway, tied with James Golding. James Golding starting inside the top 3 spots tonight. Anton De Pasquale back returning since round 1. Goes all right around this place. Can anyone run with Brody and Richie Stanaway? This is going to be exciting. When will the big one happen? We had it here last year going through Curva Grande, and we are racing with the All-Stars, the first time on a road course for season 2021, and that's a perfect start for the Boost Mobile Commodore down towards the first corner. Can anyone sneak up to the inside of the Shell V-Power Mustang? Stanaway has a look. Stanaway goes real deep, and he turns Anton around at the first corner, and the Shell V-Power car is a sitting duck in the middle of the road, and they all miss him. He won't be impressed with that. Oh, and just at the exit, he slams into Jack LeBrock, trying to get back onto the road as we head down to Curva Grande, where it all unfurled last year. Half the field got caught up in the big one going through there. That's the second big moment we've seen in that chicane this week.
Won't talk about the first one, but for Richie Stanaway, it looked like anyway, as we see more battles here down the back of the pack. Gary Jacobson turned around in his return to the E-Series since last year. He's had a miserable first lap so far. I felt Richie Stanaway was up close to the B pillar of Anton De Pasquale, but I think I want to see another look at it. And a slowdown penalty as well for somebody in the mid-pack. That's Chaz Mostert trying to clear it as quickly as possible.
I haven't seen too many of those this year. Slowdown penalties when you take a shortcut. You need to roll out of the throttle for about 1 to 2 seconds, and it leaves you vulnerable sitting on the racetrack trying to avoid and stay out of the way of the field as it comes blasting past. So Brody leads us down to Ascari, and great start. Matt Payne, who's popped up inside the top 2. Scott Pye on the outside of Mostert. Can they run side by side through here as Cam Waters tries to pick his way through that mid-pack madness? Waters up to 12th. We're looking to the outside of his old buddy Chaz Mostert. Doesn't matter if they're at the front of the pack, the rear of the pack, the middle of the pack, Cam Waters and Chaz Mostert will always find each other.
What a chaotic opening lap. Percats run very deep. Oh,
Hazelwood. It's for Hazelwood. Sam Brabham go flying off in the background. Oh, wow. Randall's upside down. How on earth did Tom Randall get upside down? And he escapes back to the pits. And that is his race just about. Well, he can start in the lead lap with a chance when we get the late race restart. Remember, we will have a VP Ultimate safety car restart at some point in this race.
I'm almost certain Tom Randall is driving on a motion simulator, and he'll just be glad that he's not actually upside down in that one.
He'll be glad it's got seatbelts.
So, yeah, it does. I did have to wear those and cop quite a flack for a lot of people as well for doing that.
Cash Converters instant cash moment. And this was turn 1. Watch at the very top of the frame. Stanaway on the curb.
Chad, I think he's at the B pillar, don't you reckon, Chad? I think that's a legal move by Stanaway and Anton De Pasquale. It's a tight one, you know. I'm glad I'm not head steward Ben Rothberg, who has to decide who's at fault for that one.
And how about the rejoin as well, because Jack LeBrock went around off the bumper of Scott Pye. So Anton's like, okay, I've got this, back into it, and there's Jack LeBrock. Now what happened at the Parabolica? Oh, Randall with a huge shunt. Tommy Randall replicating the Kellycopter at Phillip Island last year. And that was a fair old ride for Tom Randall.
What a red flag is in real life is a play on here. Blow the whistle and run with the footy.
It was huge.
So at the end of this lap, let's establish the order. Kostecki leading by almost 2 seconds from Matthew Payne. Stanaway's fallen behind Matthew Payne as well and lost the draft. And he has Justin Rugia, who I think's been one of the most underrated in our E-Series field so far as we ride on board with the Cash Converters racing driver.
Put you in the hot seat with Justin Rugia and watch over his shoulder as he stalks Richie Stanaway in the slipstream. This is the sure sounds of the game at Monza. Down at turn 1. Stanaway went defensive. Rugia was not to be beaten and got the Cash Converters car down the inside. Now, speaking of turn 1 and Richie Stenaway, Ben Rockberg and the officials have taken a look at the replays and they've made their ruling. No driver predominantly at fault for what happened down there. So racing incident, play on. Good news for Richie Stenaway.
And I like that decision because Stenaway was right there and legally had rights to the corner. He was at the B pillar and Anton de Pasquale came worse off. Stenaway survived, still in the top 4, so a good decision there by the head stewards.
Nick Percat's got a little train of cars behind him. How about Nick's performance tonight? Wild card straight back into it. He sits 6th. Great job.
He had these sparks of brilliance in the All-Stars. And remember, he had to drive, was it around an hour to get to the sim during the All-Stars? It seemed that way. It wasn't at his home location. And so he was down on practice, but made the shootout in a couple of rounds. And faring very well today, despite the fact that I know he does not spend too much time with the sim.
He's taking it seriously. Can see himself on the Monza big screens.
Hope he's looking in the right mirrors here, because
the move is on. And that is nicely done. Cam Waters up 11 spots in what could be a championship-saving drive. Percat wants to switch back. He might have got the drive, but he'll be on the outside at Curva Grande. He rolls out of it.
Is the man behind Percat potentially going to take that seat next year? Who knows?
Well, Heimgartner's been announced, actually. So
oh, has it been announced?
It's happened. Job done. It's Percat back to the inside. Nice move. Down at the Delarovia. And this is where these two got into each other earlier today in SwiftX qualifying. So the big question mark is still around Percat. No announcement there yet as to where he'll be, but yes, Heimgartner to Brad Jones Racing.
That's not inside scoop right now, is it?
No. That is only came out pretty recently. Okay. Got to be really careful on the exit there at the second Lesmo. You can pick up a 1X. I get the feeling these two are talking to each other. Do you think they might be in their own little private Discord chat going on right now?
Either that or they can be talking on the server itself. Waters now having another crack at it. Oh, you don't often see side-by-side racing through Ascari. 1 kilometre straight, great overtake.
Percat's loving it. He's having a great time. Only got that sim set up this week. Company from Perth helping him get that set up as Cam Waters is running every line possible down towards the Parabolica. Great drive from Cam, up 11 spots on the grid. All the way to 6th. Mostert's wide here. Heimgartner's going to run through. 2 guys with A-level safety ratings in iRacing, and Mostert's first, Heimgartner, sorry, first to pit in this lead pack.
Well, it's interesting because the end of lap 6 is the latest you can come in under the supplementary regulations. Heimgartner's decided to come in early. This is a good strategy to run, but you do lose that draft train and all the time you can gain from a slipstream. Oh. Mostert battling with Macaulay Jones. How about this from Macaulay Jones as well, who started down outside the top 20?
Yeah, really nice. He and Tyler Everingham both up 12 spots. That's Tyler in the background in the Shannon's green livery. So yeah, Andre might get a little undercut here. Heimgartner, Goddard was first to pit out of that lead pack. Scott Pye, Anton's been in early. Todd Hazelwood, Jack LeBrock, Sam Brabham, a bunch of guys caught up in that lap 1 crash, have all pitted. And Randall will tack onto the back of this field once we get the restart. So he's just staying out there for the BP Ultimate safety car that he'll get late in the race. Looking forward to that restart, which will be coming up in the back half of this venture. Whoa! Oh, Everingham and McLean, the 2 Super 2 boys, off at the same time. And that car has just bounced off the fence. And that was almost synchronized, but one was at Lesmo 1, one was at Lesmo 2.
That's like, you could say that's great exposure for the sponsors in a sense. As
no such thing as bad publicity in the E-Series.
You'd like to think that for sure.
So this battle pack has died down somewhat. Gary Jacobson running around in the background.
So Kostecki continues in the lead, doesn't enter the lane. Justin Rugia decides to enter the lane. Up ahead of this pack right here, there's Matthew Payne in second position, who, remember, finished second in the opening round at Charlotte and was up there in the championship. By the way, that train of 4 have all pitted at the same time. That same train we're watching of Cameron Waters, Nick Percat, Mostert, Macaulay Jones, Everingham, they're all coming in. It's the pit party we love and the pit party we hope to see, and we're getting it here on lap 6.
So Rougier is away. He was the first car in that pack. Back to the leaders yet to pit, so they'll all pit on the last lap. They'll have fresh tyres for the run home. So pretty good strategy from the front guys. No chance of an undercut given that they're a bit spread out. Unless Rougier might be able to pull maybe a spot on Richie Stanaway given that they were fighting for third. Waters out ahead of Percat. The rejoin is on. Now Heimgartner was behind all these guys and he's jumped up about 3 spots if he can clear Cam Waters down to turn 1. Oh, that's tight. We've seen it before. And they managed to just make it stick. And Zane Goddard right in that fight as well, and they're leaning on each other, heading up towards Curva Grande. Can he stay on the outside to have the inside sit for the chicane?
Tyres get up to temperature quickly here with a 40 degrees Celsius track temp, so Waters should be able to defend quickly. Goddard was almost squeezed into the grass there as they all fight for position into the second chicane.
Percat with a great exit. Gets to the inside of Heimgartner, so Heimgartner nearly maximised that 1 lap advantage. Good move, Percat. Mostert moving through as well to the inside of Zane Goddard. Heimgartner sideways. Just caught it, but he'll lose another spot to Mostert. Just. Can he sneak in there? Just about. They'll go side by side. And they've got Di Pasquale along for the right. Anton is clawing his way back through this field. Remember, he was last at the start of lap 1, turned around after qualifying second. Watch for Di Pasquale. He'll be quick on this restart. And the leaders are in. That was the last point of the race for them to pit. Mostert just running a little bit wide. There goes Randall. He's had his pit stop and will get a free pass during the BP Ultimate Safety Car to restart last.
I'd love to see the other end of that with Mostert and whether or not he survived over the gravel there at Ascari. So Kostecki should come out in the lead and maintain his lead advantage. And look at the gap between him and Justin Rougier. Rougier's all the way at the other side of the straight. Brody Kostecki's unstoppable, but we do have that mandatory BP Ultimate Safety Car coming up that will bunch up the field for the finish.
So Rougier has done a nice job to close the gap slightly on Matt Payne, but wasn't able to jump the spot. What he did do was fend off the potential undercut from Richie Stanaway. James Golding dropped down 2 spots from where he started. So Rougier up 5, Waters up 11, Macaulay Jones up 11. And have a look at this. Down at the chicane, Mostert and Di Pasquale have poked out ahead of everybody. Apart from Percat and Waters.
I remember ahead of the E-Series last year, the drivers who put in the most laps heading into Monza in terms of practice laps were Chaz Mostert and Cam Waters. That's the amount of effort they put in to be quick on the sim. Mostert, though, has butchered the second chicane. He'll cop a slowdown penalty again for the 2nd time this race.
And he'll lose 1 spot to Di Pasquale. Macaulay Jones looks to the inside. He might have just got away without the slowdown. That was tight. Heimgartner now to the inside of Macaulay. How cool is this? And he runs back here a little bit wide. That'll get Zane Goddard back into it. And Todd Hazelwood also crawling over the back of these guys. Think back to May last year when we had the very first of our All-Stars E-Series here at Monza. The quality of driving has been so good tonight. And we are hearing that the BP Ultimate Safety Car from virtual Tim Schenken is going to be deployed. And there it is. So Josh Muggleton, our safety car driver.
Oh, slow it down, Andre. It's a safety car. Whoa, that is one wicked-looking safety car. And that's Josh Muggleton in the Ford GTE, previous E-Series Pro driver. Obviously a pro gamer and racer himself, raced the past couple of years. There he is, looking fancy, looking fresh.
Playing the part of Bert tonight will be Josh Muggleton. He's got the BP Ultimate signage up behind him. You know you love sim racing when you volunteer to be the safety car driver. Well done, Josh. Wanted to give him a bit of a shout out tonight because he has been a part of our series before, and here he is driving the BP Ultimate Safety Car. Looks right at home at Monza, by the way. We had one of those drive at Bathurst with Ryan Briscoe at the wheel a couple of years ago. It was one of the coolest things ever. And a reminder, you can win yourself free full for a year. And I'll just interrupt that for a second because Brody Kostecki is bump drafting the safety car. Is that legal?
Just turn him around while you're at it.
Go and enter at the Instagram page, BP Ultimate Racing, for your chance to check that out. We have BP Ultimate cars at the front and the rear of the field, both Fords. And one of them is the safety car. One of them is poor Tom Randall. His car was upside down on lap 1. I'm not sure that's the official drink of supercars that he's getting into. Just staying hydrated.
Not going to comment on that. I got in trouble for that a couple of years ago on the sim. So Nick Percat enjoying life.
He's the wild card tonight. He can do what he wants.
Is he actually a wild card? I was hoping he'd race the last few rounds at least. Nick, please come back. He's been splendid today, driving really well.
We invited Nick on to be a part of the short live chat with Neil Crompton, and he thought, well, you know what, I've got a brand new sim, I would just bring the whole thing along. So, recent announcement, he's been leaving BJR. We're going to bring up the speed a little bit here on the safety cars. Probably haven't got the thing out of first gear yet.
Man, we need a breather though, man. Everything's like the race, silly season. I can't even keep up.
I know.
I'm reading through my notes. Like, I don't even know. Like, Heimgartner and, oh, geez, don't get me started, Chad. So much has gone on in the past week.
Plus the calendar announcements as well. So the season, if you haven't heard yet, will finish with the Repco Bathurst 1000 in early December, and it will be a 6-day race meeting featuring a host of awesome categories. So come and check it out. Zane Goddard's borrowed his glasses off Mrs. Doubtfire for the night. And those ones, Brody Kostecki, no glasses there. Todd Hazelwood's got his usual look going on.
The real
racing from the shed tonight.
The real question about this restart is, if there's an incident, will there be a bust-up, and which supercars driver would win in a fist fight at the end of a virtual race? Is it Brody Kostecki, perhaps?
Well, Brody has plenty of short track experience in NASCAR in America, so if
anyone's... a lot of fists?
Here we go, lights out in the BP Ultimate Safety Car. And we're going to have 4 laps to the checkered flag. Can Matt Payne get the job done here? Now, the slipstream advantage is huge. Watch for Payne in the Cool Drive car to run with Brody Kostecki and stick the nose at the inside at turn 1. He can do it. He needs to get a run, though, out of the Parabolica and get the slipstream. Brody Kostecki under fire on the restart. They all pitted late, so they've all got fresh tyres in the front pack. Rougier with the worst rubber quality in the front as Percat and Di Pasquale square off and bang doors. Now will Payne go for the lead? Brody covers him. Percat and Di Pasquale go side by side down towards the chicane. Anton giving him plenty of space, but now they knock bumpers, and Mostert will get both of them for that. Thank you very much.
How about that? Just bullied him on the exit, threw a shoulder into him, and Mostert rewarded by placing the car perfectly through turn 2. Could pick off Percat as well, heading into the Della Roggia. Kostecki still leads for the moment. Under the bridge, that's where the brake marker is. Mostert confirmed into 7th. Will Percat make the chicane?
He's gone.
No, he doesn't.
He bubbled off the chicane, and Anton couldn't get out of the throttle quick enough. Percat in the fence. And, well, you can see the funny side to it. Anton not seeing the funny side to things at the moment. He's lost his bonnet.
At least it's not up on the... who was that this year at Hidden Valley? Didn't somebody have the... Am I thinking of a different race? Somebody had the actual bonnet on the windscreen and couldn't see anything. Am I thinking of something different? Can't remember, actually. But I do remember
it now, that's for sure.
I do remember that happening to somebody, as Anton will have to race like that for the rest of this race. That will cause a lot of issues to downforce down the front end.
I think it was James Courtney in practice was the car you're thinking
practice,
of.
I think, yeah.
At Hidden Valley. Well done. There goes Percat. Cash Converters replay, and there goes the bonnet. Yes. Oh, shaking his fist in disgust.
Might as well if you're in Italy. Do the old Italian, what you doing?
And off he goes. Now, Mostert doing a nice job. Sitting 3rd. What a recovery from Anton to get up to 8th. Off the back of the field.
He's a pure natural sim racer, as he is a talent in the real world, and could pick off Chaz Mostert here. Mostert has no slipstream to defend. I almost saw 3 wide down the back of the pack. Anton playing with fire there, right up close to the side draft of Mostert under braking, and he finally picks off P7. Oof. Great recovery.
Hazelwood was over the sausage curbs. Ironic for a guy that sold sausages to fund the early days of his career. And as a result, he was a little bit slow out of the chicane as Chaz has got the eyes on the back of Anton Di Pasquale. And the fight is on. Stanaway backing it in down to the chicane inside of the Cash Converters car. And he's sideways with James Golding now along for the fun. And Cam Waters will be loving what he can see out the front. 2.5 laps to go as these guys square it off through Lesmo.
Fixed setup, rear master cylinder at 23.8 millimeters, brake bias at around about 50%, and he's still locking the rears. Dial up a bit of front bias, Richie Stanaway, but that was awesome.
Just backed her on in and made it stick. I think that's how you do a Monza slide job down there at the chicane. Well done, well played, and that is 3rd place. Look over the shoulder of Justin Rougier now working 4th. Spent a bit of time in Super 2 with Eggleston. And very experienced in Aussie racing cars. National Championship there. He's got James Golding for company. And tucked in behind them is Cam Waters in the Monster Energy car. Cam has come flying through this field. Started 17th, he's all the way up to 6th. As Golding goes to the inside of Rugia. They'll give each other plenty of room, will they? They'll lean on each other. They're sideways coming out of the Parabolica. That is cool. Great driving from the both of them. And who does Cam pick? Which horse does he think is the favourite down the front straight to tag onto the back of them? Rugia pitted earlier, and he's paying the price for that slightly fresher rubber. Check out the beard on Golding at the moment.
It doesn't even look like James Golding.
Does it? Who are you? What have you done with James Golding?
Is he wearing one of those party mustaches? I've never seen him look like that ever. Oh, it is James Golding.
It's amazing. he used to look like Justin Bieber. Now he looks like one of the guys out of... I'm trying to pick it now. Party State. He's done a lot of DJ work lately, which is fitting for a Pioneer DJ car.
DJ Golding. In the Pioneer DJ car, as you say.
Loving the new look, either way.
Just catch Gary Jacobson in the background too in 12th. As we said, first All-Stars race, taking over Dylan O'Keefe in that Premier Hire Commodore, and had a chat to Gary the other day, said he loves the E-Series. He's very good at it, fares well, apart from people switching the kettle on.
Yep. Last we forget. Last year, Shepparton, when Mum asked Gaz if he wanted a cup of tea, and he DNF'd pretty hard out of that race that day.
Did finish 11th in the All-Stars Championship too. And faring very well right here, right behind Macaulay Jones.
He's got one of the coolest sponsors in the field in the Premier Hire car. And Pete Gibris, who is Premier Hire, just runs him out of road down at the chicane. Reigning Australian top fuel champion. For your drag racing fans out there, we had a bit of drag racing at Hidden Valley earlier in the year. Plenty of changes coming in top fuel land at the moment as well. Need to get some virtual drag racing going somehow. I'd be across that. I know they've got Speedway on iRacing. The dirt track stuff on iRacing is really cool.
You'll be one of 500,000 fans to make a request.
Yeah, exactly.
And,
Season 4 of iRacing on drag racing. We played the drag racing games down the front straight here. They're all slipstreaming behind each other. Last lap. Stanaway on the defensive from Golding. Now, can Waters pick up a few more spots here? He's second in the championship. And Golding and Stanaway are equal third, so they're fighting over third in the points. Behind Cam Waters, going to be really tight in the points before we get to Bathurst. Remember, next week, Bathurst Enduro co-driver race. The pros and the All-Stars are teaming up together. Bob Barker and Happy Gilmore style. Don't want to miss that next week.
It's a good movie, that. Watched that the other week. Cam Waters sitting in 6th, fighting for that championship title. It's looking like it's slipping away ever so slightly as Brody Kostecki is en route towards his second E-Series victory on the trot. And he will team up with Jared Filsell next week at the Enduros, and they are going into that round as favourites as well.
Just so cool, isn't he? Bringing it back to the checkered flag with the Erebus Boost Mobile Racing colours. Doesn't matter if he's first or last, that face does not change. He was good on the ovals, he's just as good here, running around Monza. And Bathurst next week. Remember, he topped the qualifying session there last year in the All-Stars, did a 2:01 in the shootout with Shane Van Gisbergen. 9 thousandths of seconds separated those two. I think SVG just beat him to the pole that day. So looking forward to Bathurst next week. But at Monza, it's going to be Brody Kostecki and Erebus, and Matt Payne doing a nice job in this championship to put himself potentially up inside the top 3 as we head to Bathurst next week. But it's going to be Brody Kostecki, Boost Mobile and Erebus first at Monza. And well done to Brody. And well done, Erebus. Brody Kostecki wins it in Italy. And the fight behind them goes on. Payne, Stanaway, Golding, Rugia, and they're tearing up after the finish line. Safety rating killer, that one, when you crash after the checkered flag. Brody Kostecki with a smirk and a smile. And he extends the championship lead heading to Bathurst, and he and Jared Filsell will be a combination to beat next week. And hopefully Jared hasn't hurt his championship charge too much tonight. How about Chaz Mostert? He finished inside the top 10 today, but he will have a big drive with Dane Warren next week. That guy's going to be sharing with Josh Anderson in the Cool Drive colours. Well done, Matthew Payne. Great drive. Second today, and another strong performance. Remember, he was really quick at the opening round of the championship, and he's been able to back that up again. So that's his second of the year. Kostecki, Matt Payne, Stanaway back inside the top 3. Cam Waters, driver of the race. A long way from 17th up inside the top 10. Well done, Cam. Drove it beautifully. Had a lot of fun with Nick Perkett on his way as well. Nick back to 15th at the end. Good save. Tom Randall had a tough night. He'll be disappointed with only 20th. He sits top 10 of the championship. Here's your Bosch race highlights from Monza. And Tom Randall lit up the BP Ultimate Mustang. He went backwards in the field, courtesy of that big nasty burnout. But how about the chaos at turn 1? Stanaway into it with De Pasquale. Matt Payne doing a nice job to miss the chaos down there. And a few drivers turned around, including Matt McLean. Then around goes Jack LeBrock. Fortunately for Anton De Pasquale, when he got going again, there was Jack LeBrock in the middle of the road. So Anton dropped all the way back to the back of the pack. Further back, we had Tyler Everingham and also Matt McLean slipping off the road in the Shannons and Shaw cars. And the fight was on in the mid-pack, and Jonathan, it was a good scrap.
Certainly was. Andre Heimgartner, who's been driving very well in a battle here with a few drivers in the mid-pack as well. Mostert with a slowdown on the opening lap cost him a lot of positions. He ran off the chicane here. And later on, Anton De Pasquale had a frustrating race for sure, because he was involved in a lot of collisions, including this one with Nick Percat, which turned him around and lost the bonnet there as well for De Pasquale.
It's been a lot of fun having Nick Percat back in the E-Series tonight, but it's Brody Kostecki. He's just so quick, and he's picked up his second race win of the year. He's got a big smile on his face. He's a happy man. Neil Crompton, well done to Brody and Boost Mobile Racing Erebus.
Did a fantastic job, Chad, and dropped the clutch, the virtual clutch, off the line, disappeared down to that first chicane and was really untouched thereafter, and it was pretty crazy stuff in the background. So as a result of that, as you boys pointed out, he extends his championship lead. He's well and truly got that winning feeling now, hasn't he? He put together a win last week after all the promise that he showed us last year and all of the promise he showed in the early part of this year, and now he's clicked it all together. He's certainly on top of it when it comes to set up and understanding how to get the most out of these cars in these circumstances. Looking forward to next weekend as well. I think he joins us on the line now. So, Brody, good job. Sure, live chat. You must be pretty pleased with that one because you just bolted and then held a 1 second margin to the end. Well done, mate.
Yeah, thanks, Neil. It's great to go back to back. Yeah, it was a pretty interesting race. We knew that draft was going to be a massive factor during the race, and Matty did a pretty good job behind me, staying in the tow, and I just made a few little mistakes, and he was just able just to sort of hang there. So he was putting the pressure on me there all the way to the finish, but all in all, sort of the race was sort of dictated off the start. So just got a clean start and just kept the Boost Mobile Commodore up front.
Got yourself perfectly sorted now as we start to think about next week, because we're going endurance racing. We're off to Bathurst and you'll team up with your Erebus teammate Jared Filsell. So you guys are a pretty hot combo when it comes to pace. Looking forward to that?
Yeah, mate, can't wait. Always love driving Bathurst, even if it's not real life, obviously. So Jared's had some really good form this year in the Pro Series, so can't wait to go there and share a car with him, and hopefully we can come away with another win.
You were awesome at Mount Panorama last year in the 1000, and on that topic, the announcement that we will be going to Bathurst as the grand finale for 2021, that is going to be seriously cool, a mega week of motorsport.
Yeah, if someone told me that Bathurst could get better, that I'd probably tell them that they're lying. But 6 days at Bathurst is just absolutely crazy, and can't wait to go back racing again, and should be a fun week.
Heaven on a stick. Thanks, Brode. Well done tonight, and good luck next week.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
See you, mate. Brody Kostecki, Erebus Motorsport, drives the Boost Mobile car. Put together back-to-back victories. We want to hear from you, Repco Top Performer. Jump onto Facebook and let us know what your thoughts are. We're done for another week. Join us again next week because we're off to Bathurst. Endurance racing. It's going to be very cool. Hope you've enjoyed the Cash Converters Supercars E-Series. Look forward to your company again next week. Bye for now.
Cash Converters Supercars E-Series is proudly brought to you by Pagnian, official reseller of Next Level.